All right, it looks like we're live.
Wonderful.
Let's make sure we can see it on here. All right, we are live. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. We're very excited. My name is Leanna, and this is Tim.
How are you doing?
Good. We are ready to go live on Facebook, and today we are going to be kind of talking a little bit about marketing in a slow economy. Tim and I are both with White Peak Marketing, SEO, and web design, and then we are co-hosting with Shannon Benetti over at Crossover Communications, who is not here today, but you guys will see her next week. So we're really excited to be co-hosting this event kind of series Facebook Live with her, and to kind of get a lot of feedback from businesses and business owners on, what you can be doing, what you should be doing, or maybe things that you shouldn't be doing during this time. So like I said, my name is Leanna Carson. I'm the president of White Peak Social. And Tim, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of White Peak. This has been an interesting journey, Leanna, as we've built our business over the last 3.5 years. We've been really fortunate. Actually, it's the first time that it's ever happened to me, so it's been kind of interesting. The first time I've ever had the opportunity to build a business when the economy wasn't in crisis. So, as everything has really transpired over the last few weeks, it's given me an opportunity to kind of reflect that out of the other businesses which I've started over the last 22 years, most of those have been during a season of economic turmoil and crisis. First one that comes to mind, of course, is right after the implosion of the dot-com bubble back in the early 2000s, immediately following 9/11, and followed by 9/11. I had a kind of I don't know what I was thinking, but for some reason I thought that was a great time to start a business. And so there was a lot of things that I took for granted during that time that I thought one had always did when they started a business.
And what kind of businesses did you have back then? Were they different than like the marketing sphere, or were you in kind of the same industry?
Yeah, it's so funny. Actually, I'm what I would describe as an accidental marketer. I never ever had a marketing agency, never worked at a marketing agency before White Peak. The 5 businesses that I've been involved in starting, the first one was an executive search firm, right? So helping people find jobs and helping companies hire people. That was the first business that I started. The second business that I was involved in starting was a e-commerce related business where we helped guarantee online transactions. So this was before there was chargebacks on credit cards and PayPal guarantees, really designed to help people be able to buy safely across the web. And so there was a lot of e-commerce involved in that. The third business was a business which was totally different. It was a business where we developed technology that would help moms and dads monitor what their children did on social networks and on mobile phones. And web app development. The fourth business was, again, totally not related to the first 3. It was a business which helped brands understand how their products were being sold online and by who and at what price. And there was a data and analytics business that helped major brands run their business. And then, through this process, Diana, you kind of learned how to market, right? Because the first time I started a business was in that first crash. And the second time I started businesses was in the 2008, 2009 Great Recession. And so you learn how to sharpen your skill sets around marketing when things are really tough. And so coming out of those tough times, we started White Peak really because we had learned how to market using a lot of disciplines that could be put to clients. So anyway, just kind of interesting, this is the first time I've had a business when the economy didn't suck.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So since you've been through, multiple kind of, whether you want to call them recessions or economic crisis, or currently we're going through this pandemic, what kind of action would you kind of give advice to other business owners to say, this is something you should be taking action now. This is what you should be doing. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be marketing related, but just anything in general, since you've kind of been through each of those humps, and you kind of know, you know, what worked and what didn't work for you.
Yeah. So let me just say, we're going to be having these Facebook Lives every Tuesday and Thursday. And as I was thinking about what we want to share, you know, over this period of time, you know, we're going to want to get into, and we will get into very specific tactical marketing strategies that businesses of all types can use. But as I was thinking about, you know, pulling together this Facebook Live, and you and I and the other team members and Shannon at Crossover, we're talking about this, you know, I realized that there was a baseline gap for most businesses today. So over the last 3.5 years, Leanna, every one of our clients, I've asked them the same questions, and 100% of them don't know the answers. And, you know, and specifically, let me just kind of put it this way. When you start a business during a recession, in all of those businesses that I referred to, we had investors. So these were professional investors that invested into businesses with the hope of making a good return. And they all asked some very specific metrics that they wanted us to either know or to try to project. And those metrics were what they call cost to acquire a customer, CAC, C-A-C. They asked us for our known or projected lifetime value of a customer. And those two numbers, if we did not have, they asked those questions like in the first 5 minutes of every investor meeting. And if we didn't have those numbers, they walked out the door. And those are very, I mean, they're so important. And I think what I've learned over this last 3.5, 4 years with White Peak is that we have had such a flush, rich, good economy that businesses of all types could get away with not knowing those answers, because it was like just so much success was available to us that you didn't have to know those basic principles. And today, what I'm realizing is that most of those businesses that we've talked to, because they don't know those numbers, they're candidly in peril right now because they're not able to make informed decisions about what to do next. So what I would say, Leanna, is let's business, let me give you what cost to acquire is, right? Because I think the good Lord, through this pandemic, if he's done anything, he's given us an opportunity as business owners to reflect and to take a step back, and we can use this season to figure out the answers to these important questions, because it's going to dictate everything moving forward. So cost to acquire is essentially how much money, what's the total cost, sales and marketing cost, including the salary of employees and all headcount related costs. How much money is spent over a certain period of time to acquire a customer, okay? And then essentially what you do is you divide the amount of money spent by the number of customers that were acquired, okay? And that gives you an all-in cost to acquire number. This is really challenging for a lot of people because they don't know where to start, right? Because they haven't tracked this. And so now I'm suggesting that at this moment in time, there's no more important thing for a business to do than to figure this out. So what they're going to need to do is the same thing that I had to do, Leanna, when I started my businesses. When an investor comes to you and they say, what's your cost to acquire? The natural reaction is to say, how in the world am I supposed to know? I'm not even in business yet. How do I know this? And so you have to, look at, you kind of have scientific wild ass guesses, right? You make best estimates. And so, you want to look at, all the different ways that you've been reaching customers, all the ways that you've been bringing them in, and start there. Now,
yeah, so the cost of acquiring, Tim, sorry, just to kind of clarify, it includes everything from like when you're talking to them on the phone, if you're going to any networking events, if you join any networking groups, all of these costs kind of are included in that cost to acquire, correct? Whether it's a period of 6 months or a period of a year that takes you to actually get that person as a client.
Yeah,
correct?
it absolutely does. And this is a little bit overwhelming for businesses. I understand that. And what I'm suggesting, I'm not suggesting that what we're telling you to do is going to be easy, but it is so important because later on, as we get through this, even this Facebook Live and subsequent ones, we're going to be talking about decision making based upon this data. So let me introduce the second variable, and I think you'll understand why this is so important. The second variable is something called lifetime value of a customer. So the lifetime value of a customer is the gross margin that you expect to get from having that customer over the lifetime of the relationship. So let's there's some simple examples, right? If I sell a service which has a subscription, that's really simple. I need to kind of get a feel for how much did that customer pay per month or year, and how many months or years does the typical customer stay with me? If I sell a brick and mortar business, most of my lifetime value of the customer might be when they come in to buy that mattress or to buy that furniture. That's, I could simplify it that way. If I'm a restaurant, I might have to guess a little bit until I can get more perfect data. I might say, well, the average customer comes in, they spend, $80 with us at our restaurant. And then 50% of our customers we think will come back within 3 months. So now all of a sudden, 50% of your 80, that gives you $40, right? 3 months. And then, you do the 50% of those people are going to come in over the next 3 months. So you come up with a number, right? And I understand it's a guess, but what happens is now you can compare if my cost to acquire for a given channel is here and my lifetime value of a customer is here, I need to flee that channel as fast as I possibly can. If the lifetime value is high and the cost to acquire them is low, then I want to spend my time and energy there. So during this season, when we're going to be talking about marketing strategies, you can understand we have to be able to make determinations based upon this metric. And it's one of the reasons why digital marketing is something that we learned that I have that skills around, is because when you start a business in a recession, the easiest place to get these metrics is from the internet. And so it's safe for me to make assessments and judgments. It's why people gravitate towards digital marketing during recession marketing, because they can get good factual data and make determinations as to what to do next. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, especially because people are right now, I mean, we're all in a kind of stay at home order. So everyone is sitting on their couch, they're sitting at home, they're on their phones, they're on their computers, or they're watching TV. So all of that media is directly in front of them. So I would assume that for most business owners, it's a really smart play to kind of shift over slightly to that digital marketing or media aspect.
Yeah, and I recognize that at this point, what someone has to do is they have to move backward and try to reconstruct this data as best they can, because they are going to want to move forward. And when they move forward, their imperfect data, because they were looking backwards, will become better as they move forward. And as a startup person, you've worked with me for a long time, so you know that we fully embrace the strategy. Never let perfect get in the way of good. And so you just get better as you go. One thing that you can do, people can do at this time, Leanna, is that in addition to acquiring a customer, there's actually an acquisition funnel, right? So they acquire a lead. So I don't care whether you're talking about a store that receives a phone call where they're being asked for the directions to their store, or whether you're talking about a business which generates leads online, or an e-commerce business, which a lead is a visitor to their site. Figure out what the cost to acquire a lead is first. Then, if you map out each of the steps of the buying process or the sales process, you can then try to figure out your conversion rate from one step to the next. And in doing that, you start to see that your funnel, you develop a funnel, basically leads all the way down to sales and actually people who pay you. You can identify where your inefficiencies are, so that when we start to make improvements to try to get more efficient, you're actually focusing on where your pain is. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that's another strategy. So that would be my advice right now. And what I want to, so we're going to talk about specific strategies, but one of the things that you and I have talked about, Leanna, is a strategy that we've long advocated for, you have, is that we need to humanize our businesses.
Yeah.
and we need to be proactive with communication. That seems like that's really more important than ever now. How does that play into this time from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love social media and I love the ability to be able to humanize yourself on social media in terms of creating content. And so creating content, I think, is so important because one, it's 62% less expensive than other forms of advertising. And for the most part, you're gonna get, 3 times more leads. And so because of that, I think it's so important for businesses and business owners to be on social media, but not just on social media, showing their faces, going live on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, creating content to share with people that may not be able to interact with them face to face. I think it's really important right now, especially if you're in a business to business industry. B2B is huge. And right now, I know you talked about how restaurants are kind of getting their cost of acquisition per customer, based off of the amount of people that come in their restaurant and who's sitting down. But what about the B2B clients? LinkedIn is a huge source for that. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for businesses to be on LinkedIn as well and just go live, talk about what's going on in the world, talk about your business, talk about what you're doing for your employees, what you're doing for yourself, what you're doing for your customers. Whatever it is, I think there's a lot of opportunity. And, we always say that social media isn't optional. And I think during this time now, more than ever, it's really not optional. You have to be on it, and you have to show your face and show how much you care about people. Everyone's doing right now. I was just talking to Shannon at Crossover about this. Everyone right now is trying to offer curbside pickup or delivery. What makes
Do your customers know about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. What makes you stand out above all of the other restaurants and, services that are offering that? How can you showcase that using content on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever it is. So I really harp on that. And if people have questions, please leave them in the comments below and we'll try to answer them as we get through this.
Yeah, I think you hit on a good point about the idea of, you talk about curbside pickup, right? That's something we're hearing a lot about is, those essential businesses, which are still open, but they're open in a different way.
Yeah.
It's important for people to know, business owners to know that your customers do not know the different way that you're open. What are your hours, like the curbside pickup? Those are super easy things to communicate. But, I was actually talking to someone the other day who has a business they're a sandwich business basically. And, they need to humanize their business and they need to connect with their customers. So they're starting to actually literally do Facebook Lives where they're, the owner of the business is showing their customers how he goes about making their favorite meals, their favorite sandwiches.
That's awesome.
It's just, it's making their business relatable. Listen, the guy has to eat, right? So he might as well make sandwiches that he's going to eat and show his customers how he's making them, because those are the ones they've been coming in and buying and enjoying. So I just thought that was a creative way to do that. But I think
that's a really good way. I think, a lot of people forget that there's things that you do in everyday life that can relate to your business, especially if you're non-essential business right now and you're closed. How are you reaching the customers? So then when you do open back up, that they know that you're still there, I was talking to a hairstylist who her salon is closed down. She's a non-essential business, so she's not doing anything, but she's going on Facebook Lives once a week, kind of trying to share with her clients what they can do to upkeep their hair, different hairstyles that they can try at home. And it's just kind of adapting to the situation and adapting to where we are with this pandemic, and trying to take action to ensure that your business is sustainable throughout this entire thing, whether it's 30 days, 6 months, 12 months, we really don't know. And I really like that idea of the sandwich as well. I think that's a really cool way to reach out to clients and customers and people that maybe don't even know you exist, and now they do because of that.
Yeah. So specifically social in B2B. So one of the other things that we're seeing a lot right now is that there's businesses that have relied upon trade shows, right? So think about just the countless businesses that send salespeople or marketing representatives to trade shows to connect with other people to buy their company's goods and services. Those events are gone. right? And so,
Yeah.
this is kind of harsh to say, but there are going to be winners and there are going to be losers in this recession, because that's what we're in, right? And what happens is those businesses that don't come up with a way to adapt are unfortunately going to not be successful.
Yeah.
So I would say that B2B businesses are unique in that they actually still have a way that they can connect with customers. Obviously, we know about things like Zoom meetings and things like what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
But you mentioned LinkedIn. If you sell B2B, virtually 100% of your customers have a LinkedIn profile. What you need to
Yeah.
do right now, like today, is you need to go to LinkedIn and you need to purchase a LinkedIn Sales Navigator account. You can buy it for like $80 a month or about
And I think
$600.
they do a free 30-day
Yeah,
premium
that's right.
trial
So
too.
someone can go in and test whether what we're going to say is going to
Yeah.
work. And what they can do is they can build a target list in LinkedIn. And there's many services out there that one can use. We offer a service which is we call B2B lead generation. But essentially, it's using LinkedIn to connect with and engage your target audience on LinkedIn. Make sure that your LinkedIn is updated, right? That's important. Make sure that
Yeah.
your LinkedIn doesn't read like a resume, but instead it reads like
It's humanized.
it's humanized, right? It's humanized, and it also tells your customer why they should be connected to you.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're speaking to your customer in your profile, and then regularly reaching out to these new connections that you should be making. I'll give you a great example. So let's say that I'm in the business of, I'm an executive search firm. Okay. And my executive search firm fills positions for medium-sized businesses. I could start reaching out to medium-sized business owners and CEOs with a connection invite that says, hey, Leanna, I noticed that we're connected to a few of the same people here on LinkedIn, and we're both in the business of building businesses, albeit in different ways. I'd love to connect with you here on LinkedIn. Um,
Mhm.
by having a personalized-ish message, I'm going to get a high connection rate. And then I can follow up with my new connections with, hey, we just recently created some content that's really great for businesses who are trying to figure out how to grow during this time. Check out this link to a blog article, right?
Yeah,
And
and if you don't have a blog article, a great option is to create an article or create content and post it on, what is it called, LinkedIn Pulse,
yeah,
and share it
totally.
that way, because it's directly on LinkedIn. And then, when you do have a blog or you do have a website, then you can transfer it over there. But yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of reach out to people. And, even if you do 5 to 10 of those a day, that's 5 to 10 more people than you'd be connecting with if you didn't. So.
Absolutely. So from a B2B level, that's important. One last thing I want to circle, because I know we're running kind of towards the end of our
Yeah.
time here. I want to circle back to these metrics, the cost to acquire and the lifetime value of the customer. 100% of the things that we're going to talk about in these upcoming weeks are going to be dependent upon you having this data. If we talk to you about a strategy, you need to be able to weigh that strategy or something close to that strategy against your metrics to know if it's right for you. And if you aren't able to get to those numbers, these now, you want to get your formulas in place so that you can very quickly learn and adapt. So this is another startup in a recession business principle. It's called
Mhm.
fail fast and cheap. Okay. Fail fast and cheap. You as a marketer, as a business owner, are going to try things. You should, unless you're going to curl up in the corner, cry and die. So you're going to try things. But what you need to do is, some of them are going to be successful and some of them are going to fail. You need to fail fast and you need to fail inexpensively. And if you have your metrics in place, you'll be able to figure out whether something has legs or whether it doesn't very, very quickly. Okay. So make sure you get these numbers in place. One of the things that we want to look at, Leanna, when we're looking at these channels, is we've got this cost to acquire number and we've got this lifetime value number. The other question that investors always ask us is, they said, how long does it take you to recoup your cost to acquire number?
Okay.
That's it. So so let's just use the example. Let's just say that my lifetime value of a customer is $200 and my cost to acquire is $100. On the surface, that sounds like a great option, right? I should spend as many $100 as I possibly can because I'm going to get $200 in return.
Mhm.
But what if it takes 6 months for me to get the first $100 back, right? Well, that's an important thing to know. Like, how long does it take me to recoup my cost to acquire? So that knowing that answer is important because I have to balance that against my liquidity. How much cash on hand do I have? If I invest all of my money in acquiring customers because I'm going to get $200 from all of them, but I run out of capital before I get my money back, I'm bankrupt, right? So understanding the velocity of which that money comes in is super, super critical. So this is, we're, as business owners, you can't manage what you can't measure. And if you have not figured out these numbers, you basically are going to be hoping on sheer dumb luck or government intervention to be in business in a few months or years. And so we're going to need to become data geeks. Every person on this call, every business owner is going to need to become a data geek. And just because in those numbers lies the true story of someone's business and what they're going to do to be successful. And just in closing, I'll just use this as an example, Leanna. We've got a client who is a roofer, okay? And this roofer spends about $7,500 a month on Google Ads. During this month alone, what they have seen is that the cost to acquire a lead has gone down 66%. Why? Because all of the other roofers are freaking out. They're freaking out because they say, oh, I don't know what to do next. So the Google ads, which they're buying, those are, people bid on those, right? So roofer A and roofer B bid on how much they're going to be willing to spend to acquire a click. Well, with all the other roofers freaking out, the price to acquire a customer has been plummeting. So the cost per click has gone down 66% this month alone. Now,
That's great for them.
It's great for them. But what's even better is because everybody else is freaking out and leaving the market, they've seen a 43% increase in the number of leads. So check that out. Awesome. It's crazy, right? Like, not only are they spending 66% less, but they're making 43% more. And so because this customer knows their math, they're able to watch very, very closely and micromanage this. And they're actually growing their roofing business during the worst economic season that we've seen in 20 some odd years.
Wow.
So it's just,
awesome.
All from math, right?
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, we're gonna close this out in a few minutes. If anybody has questions, please feel free to ask them. We'll try to answer them. We'll stay on for a couple minutes just to answer some questions. But yes, Shannon, we are taking questions. And Lou, thanks for jumping on. I'm looking at the comments over here. If you guys have questions, please let us know. We'll stay on for a few minutes to answer them. And while those questions are coming in, I just want to remind you guys that we are live every Tuesday and Thursday for the foreseeable future at 10 a.m. We'll come on for about 20 to 30 minutes and talk about a different topic. Next week, next Tuesday, Tim of White Peak and Shannon, the owner of Crossover Communications, which is a public relations agency, they will be on Tuesday to answer some questions and talk about PR and all of that stuff. Let's see, Lou, will this be available pre-recorded since I wasn't able to get online at 10 a.m.? Yes, it will be live on our page and it should just still be there. We'll also try to put it on our YouTube channel, but for now it will be live on Facebook. Let's see, Kit, what are 2 or 3 actionable things a business can do this week to help stop the sinking ship? Tim?
All right, so first of all, let's acknowledge the reality that there's a lot of different scenarios, right? So if you are a business which the government has ordered you to shut down your business, right now, I would advocate for, focusing on your liquidity, right? So you probably do need to, reach out to vendors and ask for some concessions. You may need to make some tough decisions related to headcount, and that's just the reality. If you are a business who is able to continue to function maybe remotely with a remote team, what I would be focusing on right now is I would be going back to my existing customers, and I would be making sure that they understand what your plan is to help to continue to create value. So that it seems silly, but sometimes we avoid scary conversations. Okay. And so as a business owner, you may say, gosh, I'm really uncomfortable calling my customer because what if they tell me that things are tough? Well, guess what? Things are tough whether you call them or not. And so you need to engage your customers and talk to them, so that you just have to kind of, get the courage and reach out to your customers and understand and listen to them, and make sure that they have clarity on what your plan is to continue to create value. So that presumes that you've thought that through, right? Make sure you understand how you're going to continue to create value. Second thing I would say is, at this moment, I would be focusing my attention on my highest value, and I'm going to speak from a digital perspective, my highest value audiences. So I would be looking in my Google search console, and I would be trying to, if you don't have it, yeah, it's free. You can get Google Search Console. If you don't know how to do this or how to set this up, reach out to us on our website at whitepeak.io. We'll be happy to help you for free on getting this set up. But you can go into Google Search Console and you can find out what your highest value search terms are. What do people really searching for and finding you? And I would triple, double, quadruple down on those high value searches right now in terms of content creation and messaging that would trickle into your blog and onto your website, into the social media that you talked about, Leanna. Focus on your highest priority searches and how people are finding you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Tim. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, one more question, and then we're going to be signing off until Tuesday. Pushing social posting makes total sense, but what if you're a business with a super small social following, like the sandwich shop? How many people are you reaching, and how can they grow that audience? Well, first things first, I would say if you have a small social following, there's tons of opportunity. Even if you have a large social following, there's still tons of opportunity to engage with your clients, to create content, to push out that content, to just be a human and show that they're not the only ones. The people that are their customers right now aren't the only ones struggling. They're struggling too, and how can they get through this together? So I would recommend, if you're a business with a super small social following, spend 10 to 15 minutes a day engaging on that platform. Engage with potential customers, with current customers, comment, share. What kind of value are you providing to people that are coming to your page? Because if they're coming to your page and there's no value, then they're going to leave. So like the sandwich shop, they're providing value in the fact that they're showing you how you can make a bomb sandwich at home. So how can you do that as well? So I think that's
one of the things that you always do, sorry to cut you off, but one of the things you've always, that I hear you talk about all the time, is about, and you use the word engage, and I want to make sure that it's clear what you mean by that. So like, you, rather than just posting on your page and hoping that people come to you, you should be going onto other people's pages and going into other groups and engaging them. Engaging is not the same thing as selling. We're not talking about going in.
Yeah, not selling, providing value.
Providing value, engaging people, and it is okay to invite people to come check out your page, but I think it's about going to other people's pages also. On Facebook in particular, if you have a Facebook page, you probably also have to have had a personal account as well. And so it's making sure that you make use of your personal account, not just your company page. It goes back to the humanization, right? So if you have a really great customer support person, or person that's on your team, they can maybe be the face of your brand if you're afraid to be the face of your brand. But on your own Facebook account, get on your own Facebook account and do Facebook Lives and tell people what's going on. And those people who are your friends are going to be the ones who are going to be most apt to come and check out your company page, and also be willing to share your information with people who maybe are total strangers to you.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to do both those things, just being active, going on, if you're on Instagram, engaging through hashtags and people that maybe don't follow you or you don't follow, whatever it is, on Facebook, engaging on your personal account and Facebook groups if you're in them. I engage in them all the time, and I never ever push anything really about White Peak. I just give my personal opinion and advice and things that I've gone through personally and how I've come out of them. On LinkedIn, there's LinkedIn groups, but you can create content on LinkedIn Pulse. You can do a live video. Just, send a message to someone. I think the biggest thing right now is people just want to hear from other people. They want that human connection and interaction. But thank you everyone for joining. We'll close out with that today. Yeah, thanks for jumping on, Tim. If you have any questions, please let us know. Feel free to email us, and we'll be live again next Tuesday. I won't be on here, but Tim and Shannon will with Crossover Communications. So Crossover Communications and White Peak will be on Tuesday, 10 a.m. Sharp, hopefully. And we'll see you then. So thanks all for joining. Have a great day and stay safe out there.